Okay, this is a Cat 4 35 plus race. I think it's a 60-mile race, and we have just over a lap to go. So Pete, this is an example here. I just wanted to show this. I was sag climbing. You told me about sag climbing. What is that?
Yeah, so the idea is you start at the front of the pack, and then as the hill goes, you go slightly slower than everybody else and let everybody pass you, and you catch onto the tail end of whatever group you're in. It allows you to climb probably doing 10% less watts, or, watch all these people pass you on the left, right?
So like some of those people look like they're like trying to be the first up the hill.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. As a bigger rider, this saves your life. You're doing 50 less watts or 10% less watts, and it doesn't change the way that the race unfolds at all. It's just a climb that people get to the front, and then as you get to the top, you get to ease up. And so what happened in the race when you were doing these sag climbs?
So I would swing over to the left side, and it's a downhill now, and on the previous lap someone was pushing it, and I actually would get to, just by coasting, I'm a little heavier, 198, 199, I'd pass people, I'd get right in the front of the race again, but in this situation that guy blocked me. But really, I'm not detached or anything.
No,
everything's fine.
And yeah, and it just takes some mental energy to get back to the front of the race every time for the climb, but it's always worth it. You get to climb the climbs so much less harder.
And this was pretty chill right now, so it really didn't take, like, look where I am now again. And I'm at 0 watts still, just kind of like drifting through the pack.
Yeah,
I don't know why more people do it. And plus, everyone thinks that you're weak.
Yep.
Which is another benefit.
Yeah, and it over the course of a whole race, it makes a huge difference. Yeah. And all those people attacking over the top and then coasting down the other side, it's all this energy used for nothing.
So if you are going to push over the top, you better, or if you are going to push hard on the climb, you better push over the top, right?
Yeah, and that's the important part, is if you are going to make something happen, it's over the top of the climb or the last quarter of the climb where you do it, because that's when the differential happens between the riders.
So this race, there was a breakaway that started, and I'm going to get into the time where I attacked. So a breakaway had started, and there was a bunch of teams represented in it, but I didn't know if the Rev team was in it. And the Revs had like 7 or 8 riders in my group.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch the full video, and there's a link below to it, I kept asking them, hey, you got a guy up the road? And they're like, I don't know, I don't think so. I thought they were messing with me. So the breakaway was so far gone, I couldn't see it. I just decided to try to solo.
Yeah, and you'll get a lot of false information asking around in groups all the time. You can't necessarily believe what everybody tells you. So yeah, it would be really hard to know whether they're telling the truth or not.
I asked someone in the last race, I knew that his teammate was in the break, and I said, hey, is someone your teammate in the break? And he said, no. And I said, hey, I can't trust you.
Yes.
So I was testing you right there. But I'm about to attack, and it's a pretty flat race, but I wanted to do it on an uphill.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good time?
Yeah. How did you decide? So there was only a lap left in the race, so you pretty much had to make the bridge if you wanted to win the race, right? That was what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and over a course of a flatter race like this, you can tell how the hills are what really separates people. You can see the people who are suffering, and these aren't real hills, right? They're like 30 seconds long.
Yeah, right.
So it's like a launch pad rather than a hill. So you went from, this is the start-finish line, right?
Yeah, and this is it. And someone to the right starts going really hard, and I don't know why he's going so hard, but because he doesn't, push it over. But so I'm going as hard as him, and a little bit harder at the end. But then what I do is I push over the top of here.
Yep.
And again, going back to the race, everyone else is used to not going hard. So I'm sorry I don't have a rear camera on this race, but I got separation pretty fast. No one jumped on my wheel. Mm-hmm. So that was a mistake, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who had a teammate up the road, Nate is a free ride up to the breakaway. So yeah, it's crazy to me that I guess you either caught everybody off guard, which is perfect. That's what you want to do, especially since you're going to make it up to the breakaway.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, that means you did it exactly right. And your power's still on, which is important. Like, to establish a breakaway, it's a lot of power in a short period of time to get the separation. And did you see a motivated chase behind you or anything?
About right here, I still did. Like, I looked back, but I kept going. Some other people told me that they thought I had no chance, so that's why they didn't jump on, because it would just be a little more energy for them. But I don't know. I think that's your job as a teammate, right? To jump on if you have teammates in the breakaway.
And to be honest, being on a single rider, making a bridge is much easier than being in the field almost all the time. The field's surgy and you have to think about more things, but just sitting on a single rider trying to make a breakaway or trying to bridge to a breakaway is not that much work.
So the next 15 minutes is pretty boring. I soloed. It took forever. It was 360 watts for 15 minutes normalized to do it. I passed a bunch of riders.
I did see it. You can see your shadow. Did you ever do any invisible arrow bars?
No. I feel like I'm going to fall off.
Yeah, the road's really rough here. This is a scary corners, scary pavement, windy race. So, yeah, I was curious because you're in the drops the whole time pretty much, right?
And on a bumpy race, I was riding 28s. You told me to do that, Pete, and a little lower pressure. And it makes the whole everything. You get less flats. It just feels amazing. It's a really good tip to ride a little higher volume tires. So I hear the moto. I'm like, yes, moto. And then he stopped. I was like, no. But I'm going to come back. So I've been chasing 15 minutes. There's a group of 5. I'm going to come on. And in my brain, I'm like, first, this last section was so hard to close. And 2, I want to try to be on the back and without them noticing me for as long as possible because they're not looking back.
Yeah, and you did a good job because the last 200 meters is always the hardest to close, and especially if they see you coming. Then someone will hit it because it's worth it for them.
I give a little thumbs up because I'm so happy. And so that's a good point. Is if on the last lap they probably don't need me, but if it was early, they might want me to be with them to stay away, right?
Yep.
So it's you might not always want to drop the rider who bridges.
Yeah, and if it's early in a race, you can even yell like I'm coming up, and sometimes they'll wait for you. This time you did a good job of the sneak attack.
Yeah, in this case, they're so close, they probably should try to drop me.
Yeah, someone has to have the legs to try and make the effort. Looking at these guys.
See that guy? He looked the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'm on the right side, look left. Go ahead.
I'm sure they're hearing something. They're like, what is that?
No, I have a smooth wax chain. I was quiet.
So you didn't say anything, right? You just snuck up on him.
See my shadow? Sorry, I've been trying to not get my shadow too far up.
How long had these guys been out?
I think 2 laps.
So that's
a long time.
It's like 20 miles. Are they 11-mile laps or something?
That sounds right.
So Nate's doing a good job. One of the things that's really important when you bridge to a breakaway is you sort of have a free pass to sit on for a while. It's up to them to make you work, but you can say, "I just bridged. I need a little bit of time to recover." And so they haven't even seen you, so you don't even have to say that yet.
Yeah, and the heart rate. That's wrong. 135. My heart rate was stuck the whole time, but I really was gassed at this point. And you see, I get a little bit too far forward. He sees me, and he says, "Nate's on." And talking to the guy after the race, he goes, "I saw you as soon as you got on. I called it." And really, I had like 2 full rotations of rest.
Yeah, and so that's a big deal. Not having to work for 60 seconds even is a big difference, especially in the last. If you probably there's 15 minutes of the race left, right? So you got 60 seconds and nothing.
So I thought we weren't going to get caught. I thought we were so far ahead from the group.
So did you tell them anything when you got on?
What did I say? You kind of, I think you wrote it down.
You said I was tired, or that was a long bridge. I'm tired, and I would say the only thing if the field isn't working behind you, then you don't have to worry too much, and they can kind of play cat and mouse, and you don't have to worry. As a solo bridger, what I would generally tell them is the field's getting close. Like if I can make it across, the field is close, and so that would encourage everybody to stay working.
So I should have said like, we got like 30 seconds on the field. Let's go.
Yeah.
But give me a couple laps or a couple turns to rest.
Yeah. Say I'm the only one that bridged. The field is coming up though, or something like that, and then that'll keep everybody motivated. The problem is at the end of a 60-mile or any long road race, motivation doesn't play that much of a factor in it.
Everyone's tired.
Everybody's tired. So you're still doing the right thing, right? You're going to sit on for as long as they'll let you.
Yeah, and I even said, I think I said they're not going to catch us. So I said the opposite. Right? I don't need to pull through. They're not going to catch us. I'm too tired.
Yeah. So, but
it's okay to say you're tired, though, right?
Yeah, it's okay to say you're tired, And that's a great way to kind of bow out of a little bit. You're not going to say I'm not going to win, but you can say I'm tired. Like, give me a second, or give me a rotation. But yeah, as you can see, Nate, I'm sure after a 15-minute bridge, this felt pretty nice, right?
Yeah, and they're about to get mad at me. I mean, I don't have. There's no rule saying I have to.
You don't have to
pull in at all, right?
Yeah. It's up to them to make you pull, or attack,
And honestly, they should be fresher than me because they've been in a break. Well, actually, they've been in a break pretty long, so we could be pretty close. But it was a monster effort. I don't remember the last time I went that deep in a race.
Yeah. And so while you're catching these guys, as they're doing the rotation in front of you, you're kind of getting the lay of the land of the breakaway. So you're seeing who's pulling hard, seeing how the rotation works. And then on a course like this, since it's all you're waiting for defining features to see how people are hanging, right?
Yeah.
So did anyone look particularly strong or weak in this part?
At this part, I did not look at all. I was just kind of happy that people weren't yelling at me too much, and we were still going quickly, 27 right now. So here this guy's like, what are you doing? This is Tim from a previous video. He's like, why aren't you, come on, get up there. And what I do with some people, if they play that game with me where they want to have a hole, I let it get really big, and then I attack. And then it hurts them really hard. It hurts me too, but
at least you're hurting someone else at the same
mutual assured destruction, and then hopefully they won't do it again.
Yeah, if you're going to get dropped, I'm going to get dropped too.
Yeah.
No, and that's one of the things. It's really hard when you are totally gassed to pay attention to how other people are looking. Look for shoulders rocking, people who are either like not rotating very smoothly or coming off the road a little bit. Someone who's so frazzled that they can't pay attention to other things that are going on. That's usually a good tell that someone's not having a good time at the end of the race. So, but you've probably been sitting on for 5 minutes now, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, and I actually think I said like, okay, I'll pull through now. And right when I do that, you see, he's like, come on. And really, if it would have just slowed down, I think I would have attacked because it was fresh enough. So,
yeah, I bet you're the freshest out of this group. Even a hard bridge, it's just the elapsed time isn't the same. So, yeah, and telling someone you'll pull through, that they want to hear that. They want to hear that you're not just going to sit on. So you'll say, give me 1 more minute and I will pull through.
Yeah.
And then that'll sort of absolve them of worrying about you quite so much.
This is one of the worst spots of the race where people get flats. But right when I said I was going to pull through, the guy in the blue, he actually went up and pulled harder. And I was ready, actually. I was really going to start pulling through. But then I think he got frustrated and went to the front. And I don't know why he skipped people like that.
Yeah, this is a hill, right? It's one of the small...
It's going to come up to a hill right here,
yeah. So this is one of the small little risers. And one of the things we were talking about earlier is this is where you should really pay attention and see how everybody's looking. So that guy in the red, he looks a little rough to me. Same with the guy in the yellow jersey. If you're having to work that hard, Nate's only doing 450 and he's a big, heavy guy. I think some of these guys are suffering. So it's a good point. This is where you kind of have to make the decision. Are you going to attack, follow the front guys, sit in with the group?
And I boxed myself in here. I think that was a mistake, putting myself where I was, because if they did attack up front, I couldn't get around.
Yeah. And there's only 10 minutes left in the race, or 7 minutes left in the race, I guess.
Here where the game starts. So they pushed it over the top, and there's a gap there. And I'm thinking, come on, Tim, who's in front, pull that back.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, you're doing the right thing. I think this is exactly what you should do. You give someone, if you're with 3 other guys, give them 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and that's long enough for someone who still feels good enough to make the move. Like they won't let the race ride away from them like that. So you pretty much waited the right amount of time, and then I'm sure you come around and...
Yeah. Right here, actually, I heard the guy in the red just breathing as hard as a person could breathe. And I said, ooh, they're not going to pull this back.
Yep.
So I attacked them right here. And I attacked hard because I didn't want to have them come with me.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And you did a good job. Once it's flat and fast, it's a lot harder for you to cover that move. So while it was still hilly, you had to climb a couple more rollers. That's the right time because your extra energy will actually get you a lot more speed. So you picked the right time and the right terrain and the right elapsed duration to bridge to these guys.
And talking to the guys behind me after the race, they had the dilemma of Tim was starting to chase back, but then he goes, if I chase back, these guys are going to beat me in the sprint. So I'd rather get 4th place than get, 6th place?
Yeah.
Or whatever I'm doing the math right,
Yeah. And at the end of the race, you start making decisions where maybe 4th place isn't so bad.
Yeah.
And that happens to a lot. It happens to everybody. You're like, well, if I'm guaranteed 4th place and I don't actually have to do any work, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Where
then gambling for first.
Yeah. So you catch these two guys, and I think that the guy in the blue looked pretty strong, like you said.
Yeah. This turn there's potholes, so I take a bad line through here, but look at the holes.
Oh yeah, those are big.
That's why I took that line, and I believe the guy in front of me, he might have got a soft tire on that, but I'm not sure. So here, I yell at them, we got a gap, let's go. I had no clue if we had a gap.
Doesn't matter.
Look, that guy started playing so hard he went off the road. But I just told them, I was thinking in my brain, we must have a gap.
Yeah.
So I just told them to, and I wanted us to push hard.
Yeah, and the guys who are attacking, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear that their work is working. So you've now you have a podium spot guaranteed. All you three do, unless you sit up.
Exactly, right?
And they're already working, so you've pretty much given them the correct information to keep working and that it's worth it. So when you guys are pulling through, are you guys pulling through pretty hard, or is it?
Yeah, fairly hard. And you can see my watts, I was trying to think of our previous recordings, not to pull so hard where I'm going to gap people or tire myself out. But I was still doing, 360, 380?
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it's definitely a pull.
So I would say the one thing I noticed with this is if there's only 3 guys in the breakaway or 4 guys in the breakaway, you know who you're going to follow every time. And so pretty much when you see that person's front wheel come around you, you can start speeding up a little bit and you slot in between the 2 riders in front of you. And that takes away a little of the surge that's required to get back in. You still were doing a pretty good job, to be honest. It's a small gripe, but it makes a big difference if it's a long period of time. If you're not having to go up to 400 to get back on to the end. If 500. You're only 500. If you're only doing 350 because you're doing 350 for 10 seconds, it's easier on you. Go ahead.
So right here too, the Splunk guy here on his back in the green, he's taking a lot longer to pull through, and me and the SunPower guy, it goes pretty quickly. So I'm thinking, maybe he's a little bit tired.
Yeah, and that's a good. Anybody who's taking a long time to pull through, they want to contribute, but it's also destructive to the group, to the breakaway itself, right?
So that guy comes right through.
Yeah.
I wonder too, he could be feigning.
Yeah, and there's only like 2 minutes left in the race or 3 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, pretty close.
So it's really hard to decide, but this is where you have to decide how you're going to win the race, right? Like, is that what you're thinking about right now?
Oh, for sure. I'm thinking I'm going to outsprint these guys at the end.
Because it's a long drag. It's a long sprinting drag with a hill.
Yep. And so here, I didn't know what was going on because this guy just rides the SunPower guy in the front, rides the Splunk, I don't know if that's his team name, the green guy, off his wheel. And I'm like, well, maybe he wants to be third wheel. I was thinking that's why he wanted to do it. He was expecting me to come through, fill that gap, because look at the gap is just barely going forward.
Yeah, that looks fake. That looks like a fake dropped wheel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do?
I think you're making the right choice. So since you're a long sprinter, we call you, right? Like a 45 seconds or a 1 minute you have to decide how to catch the guy that's off the front and drop this guy all in one go. You only get one move and you have to beat both of them.
I tell him, I go get him. You gonna get him? Go get him.
And he's not increasing his pace at all, right?
No. And it turns out he had a soft front tire, either from when he hit that pothole or when he went off the road. So he is just keeping his body still, not telling anyone that he's got a soft front tire.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, smart for him.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing.
So I gave a little sprinter's gap based on the last video. and go up into him. Thank you for that, Pete.
You're right. And you come past at 5 miles an hour faster.
Yep.
And so now you're all in. You have to catch the guy in front of you and beat him in one move, right?
He got a good gap.
Yeah.
In like 20 seconds.
So I think that also plays in your favor because he's going to look back and see nobody. And so he's maybe not going as hard as he possibly can, but tempering his effort to get to the finish line fast, where you just know he's a carrot, you have to get to him.
Yep.
So there's one last turn, and then it's probably 300 meters from the last turn or 400 meters from the last turn. So this is where you're bridging up to him. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking right here, I'm like, ooh, I've got him. I don't want to catch him too soon.
Yep.
But I don't want to catch him too late.
Yep.
And I really kind of, I'm looking for him if he's going to look back at me, because if he looks back, I'm expecting acceleration, so I better be able to accelerate.
Yep, exactly. And pretty much in a situation like this, you want to pass this guy in front of you when you are winning the race. So for Nate, that's a long sprint, so maybe like a 30-second all out. So he just saw you, right?
Yep.
And did he up the pace?
I think he maybe tried a little bit, but I also had a good kick here of 800 watts. But that's when he should have got as hard as he could from then on, right?
Yep, exactly. And so this is where you catch him.
Yep. Now I'm on, and the sprint's just we're gonna go down one hill and then go up. So now I'm like, you've got this.
Yep. And he made the decision that he's just gonna pedal hard to the finish and take what he can get.
Lead me out.
The one thing I probably would have gone to the right on that, just in case he could have boxed you out into the grass, but it looked like he had pretty much given up. I think you had a safe bet going that side. Normally, if there's multiple riders, always air for the side where there's open road.
Okay, good tip.
But nice job.
Thank you, I won. Yes.